Peterborough's community radio station, Salam Radio, 106.2 FM.
Assalamu alaikum. This is your very own Dr Shabina Asad Qayyum for Salam Radio 106.2 FM. What a delight to be back. You know, I always say at the end of my last show that I'll see you next week. And then something crops up, and because of sickness or other commitments, I've been unable to come on. But I can't tell you how much I miss coming on the show. I miss all of you as listeners. It's a delight to be back on the Body Health and Mind Show with our wonderful station manager, Asim Mahmood. I think it's really important to give him a shout out because he sits quietly there, you know, peering at me above the screen. He's laughing now, so that's exactly what I intended after a really long day at work. But it's great to be back, dear brothers and sisters. I'm Dr Shabina Asad Qayyum, and I am one of the GPs at Central Medical Centre here in the centre of Peterborough. I'm biased when I say that we are the best surgery in Peterborough. Of course I'm biased, but I can't wait to bring you my show today because I've got such a wonderful guest lined up for my show. I want to tell you all about her. I'm going to be bringing her on shortly, but the guest on my show is Sister Shabana Begum. Now, Sister Shabana Begum has started off her intro by saying that she has 5 children, mashallah. She's the mother to 5 children and 4 beautiful grandchildren. And she has worked for the Hepatitis C Trust. And she's also been a COVID champion and coordinator in Huddersfield and Bradford. She's presently in her 13th year working now full-time as the National South Asian Projects Coordinator for the Hepatitis C Trust. And currently what Sister Shabana does is she liaises with community organisations in community centres, mosques, temples, liaising with local hospital and specialist hepatitis C nursing staff. She creates pathways into secondary care after testing directly into further PCR testing and treatment if it's required. And she provides language skills to overcome any stigma and provides continuous supports to patient. Now, it's incredibly important that you listen to this show because it's going to be packed full of information. So I'd really like you to engage with us. It would be great if you could call and engage with us on 01733 602 133. Text us. Please do text us on 07411 191062. Please do comment on the Facebook Live if you need to ask any questions whatsoever. It's going to be shared to various platforms. I'm going to be asking my station manager to share to the Muslims of Peterborough page as well if you're listening to that. And if you're on your way home, driving back from work or wherever you're going to, I hope that you have a wonderful journey and a safe journey and enjoy the rest of the show with us. But without further ado, let us bring on Sister Shabana Begum. Sister Shabana Begum, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sister Shabina. How are you, my darling?
I'm fine. And you know why I absolutely adore you? Because every single time you speak to me or have written to me, you always say Salam Jani. And the only other person that calls me Jani is my husband, you know? So it really feels like my own. And, you know, you really warm my heart. And it feels, and you know, you are like that. You're somebody who's incredibly warm-hearted and personable. And I think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you a gift of trying to help people. And I've been wanting you on the radio for a very long time, but I'm so glad that we've gotten round to it now. Thank you so much for coming on board. How are you today?
Jazakallah, Mary Jan. It's always a pleasure, as you know, and especially you are my Jani. You're closer to my heart.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was testing out today in Bradford as well, and I was saying to everybody, for me, there's no man, woman, or child. There's no difference. Sab jo hai Allah Taala ki banaye hue makhloot hai. Everybody's, you know, been created by my God.
Yeah.
So serving mankind is, you know, it's a privilege, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm just thankful that Allah Ta'ala has chosen me to do this amazing job. Yeah. Basically, and the way I feel, I'm full of cold at the moment, but I couldn't cancel yourself.
No, as you've said, I can hear that you're laughing and you're rasping at the same time. I think you're probably going to need to call your GP tomorrow.
Well, I'm seeing you, aren't I?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
excited.
We can do something in the background. Don't worry about it. I will.
Possibly,
I'll
yeah.
be able
It's
to
okay.
help.
I'll be masked up and everything. I've
Bless you.
tested negative. I'm testing on a regular basis for COVID. As you know, COVID's going around doing its rounds again.
Yeah,
But I think it's just this winter weather, isn't it? It's just suddenly got so cold.
it is. It is. It has become very cold. And the other thing is that I think that we've got all kinds of bugs that are coming out. It is that time of the year. I think immunities are generally low because of coming out of the COVID. We've got a lot of people, as you know, who contracted COVID who had low immunity. And now they're more susceptible, or their immune systems are so down that they are picking up viruses. But also, more importantly, which is related to what you are going to be talking about, Sister Shabana, is that, you know, when we were unable to travel, a lot of people who contracted COVID and have come out of it and obviously have low immune systems are invariably wanting to go to Pakistan and back home as well, aren't they? And that is why we have to be even more wary of things like hepatitis C as well, don't we?
We do, most certainly so. Yeah.
So
it's essential to know about the viruses that you may contract unknowingly when you travel abroad.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'd like to ask you, Sister Shabana, is that tell me a little bit about your story. How did you embark upon this work? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, unfortunately, fortunately, I was born and brought up here in the UK, in Huddersfield, to be exact. And in 79, at the age of 13, my father, God rest his soul, decided to take us back to Pakistan. Myself and my sister and my brothers, so that we could become more acquainted with the lifestyle within families and how to respond to families, family politics and everything like that, how a good Pakistani girl should be like.
Yeah.
That was their upbringing. We had no objections, so we went back. We were in Pakistan about 3.5, 4 years. I fell ill.
Oh, dear.
And because I was daddy's girl here, I would sneeze and my dad would take me straight to the doctors.
Yeah.
And obviously he did the same there as well. But unbeknown to him, the treatment that I had been administered was a week long of injections.
Right.
So I had to go in every day as a 13-year-old and get this injection. I don't know what it was, but it was to fight some certain bug that I'd contracted. I think it was just climatizing to the weather there, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that was basically, that's all I remember. So came back to the UK, and many years later, I fell ill. And it took me about 2 years to actually get diagnosed by the doctor here, because the GPs, the tests that they do on a regular basis that we call MOT.
Yeah.
Testing. He did those, and the results all came back negative.
Okay.
When they came back negative, he basically said, he goes, "You've been on antidepressants for 2 years. Maybe it's, playing with your mind." And I said, "No, it's not in my mind. I feel ill, and it's like every hair on my body hurts, but I can't explain it."
Wow.
I was suffering from mood swings. I couldn't digest my food. And I had like flu-like symptoms. So constantly I was feeling ill, and constantly, literally, I was going to the doctors every second day. There came to a point that I thought, oh my God, the doctor's going to think, oh, Miss Begum's back again.
Yeah.
And I was getting really depressed and embarrassed about that as well.
Yeah.
So when he said to me, "It's all in your head," right, I had a bit of a fight with him, to be honest. I go, "No, it's not in my head. I can feel ill. You have to test me.
Of course.
Is there anything you haven't tested me for?" And he said, "Well, actually, I haven't tested you for, I haven't tested you." And I go, "Well, what have you not tested me for?" He goes, "I haven't tested you for HIV and hepatitis." And I said, "Well, why not?" He said, "Because you belong to a respectable Asian family, and I didn't want to disrespect you or offend you in any way." And I said to him, "Listen," I was born here, brought up here. I know exactly what my lifestyle has been like. I've not put myself at risk. I have been abroad. I have had treatments abroad. I've had one of my children in Saudi Arabia as well.
Yeah.
And obviously access treatment there as well. I want to know where I might have picked up any of these from. I'd rather know than not know.
Yeah.
So he tested me, and back in the day, it used to be about 3 weeks or something like that, 4 weeks before you got your results.
Yeah.
This is talking 17 years ago. And he called me and he said, "Can you please come in? I've got good news and bad news, but I need to tell you face to face." I said, "Okay."
Goodness,
The appointment went in, and bit of a comic actually, or you could say he tried to put me at ease. He sat on the floor, knelt down, held my hand, and I said, "Hang on a minute, are you proposing?" And he laughed and he said, "You know what? I've really put myself in this situation, haven't I?" He said, "But would you like to listen to the good news or the bad news?" And I said, "Give me the good news, so it'll give me the strength to listen to the bad news."
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and he said, "You know what? You don't have HIV." And I said, "Ya Allah shukr, thank God, I'm going to live."
Yeah.
Because if you remember, back in the day, it used to be people were actually dying from HIV
Yeah, of course,
in America. And on the internet, there were films out, people are passing away. And I was horrified, and I think that was the only thing that really scared me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I said, "Oh, thank God I'm going to live," he goes, "Hold your horses." He goes, "You've got hepatitis C." And with the wave of a hand, I said, "You know what? Oh, that's nothing." And I go, "Well, what's the treatment?" And he goes, "The treatment is like chemotherapy." I said, "Hang on a minute. Are you saying to me that I've got cancer?"
Yeah.
Because chemotherapy is a treatment for cancer.
Yep.
And I said, "But I thought you said it's hepatitis C."
Uh-huh.
And I go, "Well, I know about Hep A and Hep B. Hepatitis A is you contract from contaminated food and water.
Yeah.
Hepatitis B, I said, you contract from bodily fluids and blood."
Yes.
And I said, "But there's treatments for them, isn't there?"
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. He said, "Well, all I know is hepatitis A and B, you're correct. Hepatitis, then there was hepatitis non-A and non-B.
Yeah.
That is now known as Hep C." And I thought, oh my God, okay. So my treatment, you're saying, is chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen now? He goes, "I'm going to refer you to the hospital."
Yeah.
They will then do a biopsy. That's taking out, as you know, a piece of liver,
Yeah.
and then trying to determine how long I'd had the virus and what type of treatment I would need. And all that happened. It took another 2 months or so for that process to happen.
Yeah.
And he also said to me at the time, "Can you please bring me back some more information because I don't have any."
Hmm.
And I've been doing that on a continuous basis with him. But at that time, 17 years ago, 2005, I started my treatment. It was a 6-month treatment. Interferon injections, nasty treatment, harsh treatment, as well as taking tablets. And then to counteract the side effect of those, the medication that I took, I had to take more painkillers.
Oh, dear.
So by the end of 6 months, I had mouth ulcers, stomach ulcers. I'd lost a lot of my hair. My hair had gone grey.
Oh, dear.
I'd lost my eyelashes as well. So it was chemotherapy treatment,
Yeah.
like chemotherapy. But alhamdulillah, I cleared the virus, which was amazing
Yeah,
because the
definitely.
treatment worked.
Yes.
And to say that, I'd had the virus, they were able to determine I'd had it for 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
And at that point, if I hadn't had my treatment, I was told if I waited another 5 years, I would need a new liver.
Wow. You were that far into the disease.
That far, yeah. So basically, I just say, Shukr alhamdulillah, Allah Ta'ala blessed me with this new lease of life. And since then, I obviously promised Allah Ta'ala, I've got 5 kids. Who's going to look after them as a parent? That's the first thing that comes to mind, doesn't it? If mother's not around, who else is going to look after them? And I just cried and prayed in my namaz that God, please, Allah, please. Sorry, I'm getting emotional as well.
Oh.
Please bless me with a new lease of life.
Yeah.
And I promise that every breath I take, I will try to raise awareness, promote testing, and save people's lives.
Yeah, you're so kind when you say that, honestly.
Sister, when I actually came home after diagnosis, I said to my mom, I go, "Ma, who do you know in the family that has hepatitis C?" And she put her finger on her lips and she said, "Shh, don't talk about it. I don't want to hear another word." And I said, "Ma, why not?" She goes, because it's passed on from husband to wife, and it's shameful.
Oh.
And I said, Ma,
dear.
this is the only, as you know, you're a doctor. I go, Maggie, this is the only virus that isn't transmitted, right, through bodily fluids.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very rare. It's only blood to blood, so it can't be transmitted through relations at all.
Okay.
She goes, well, it's common as water in Pakistan. Everybody's got it. And I said, well, who's got it? She goes, your papa. She passed away, my dad's sister, from hepatitis C, from liver cancer.
Oh, my God.
And four of her children and two of her son-in-laws have passed away.
Wow.
So you could say the whole family's been,
Yes.
cleared out. And the only point that I can actually pinpoint, you could say, that they must have caught it from is the same GP that I went to as well.
Yes.
Because when I found out, how you think back, oh, where was I 15, 20 years ago? How could I have caught it? I didn't do anything stupid. Never took drugs, never even smoked, didn't have a boyfriend or anything like that. Because that's the natural thought process,
Yeah.
And I put myself at the age of 30 there in Pakistan because that's the only logical, explanation I had. And I remembered that I'd gone to the doctor's one day. The comporter, the assistant,
Mm-hmm.
he administered the injection and he threw it into like a tea caddy, a stainless steel, pot. And I actually got up and had a look in there, and there was a pile of syringes, the metal and glass syringes, the hypodermic needles.
Oh, my
They didn't
goodness.
used to have disposable at that point. And there was a pile of syringes. The sides were corroded and hardly any water in it. Now, at the time, as a 13-year-old, you're rather stupid. You don't have that much common sense. And I thought, that's a magic pot. He's putting his hand in, taking a syringe out, filling it up with medication, administering it, throwing it back in, putting his hand in again. And it was like, recurrence that was happening. The whole week I went, that's all I saw.
Wow.
So I was able to pinpoint, and it's very few people that can actually remember where they actually caught the virus from.
So this obviously had happened to a lot of your family, but for the interest of the listeners, and honestly, listening to your story has given me goosebumps, sister, it really has. But for the interest of the listeners, what I really would like to know is that transmission. That's something that everybody worries about. Now, you say bodily fluids, and I know that hepatitis B, HIV, these are the two viruses that are transmitted through relations between a husband and wife as well. That's fundamental, because that is something that we all need to know. But we are categorically clear that hepatitis C is not transmitted. It is not a sexually transmitted infection. Is that correct?
It's not transmitted, reason being that it's only found in blood. Now, unless, please do excuse me for saying this, but this is one of those things that I would like to clarify. Unless blood is present during
menstruation.
Menstruation, the virus will be present because it's in blood.
Yes.
But if you are having relations while the woman is, on her monthly periods, menstruation, monthly periods, and the gentleman, I don't mean to laugh or anything like that. I'm just trying to find suitable words. That the partner has a cut or anything like that is virtually impossible to transfer.
Sure.
Now, men having sex with men, very strong possibility of a transmission route there.
Okay.
Especially if it's rough sex. Mother to child is extremely low.
Okay.
I think it's 0.5%. And that's only if there's blood present, and the baby has the blood or takes the blood in when, through the birth canal, basically being born.
Yeah.
Very, very low through breastfeeding as well.
Okay.
So these things we have to clarify. You can only contract, it's very hard, it's not easy to contract the Hep C virus. Now, we as Muslims, we're very clean. We pray 5 times a day. We do wudu 5 times a day, 5, 6 times a day, remember, depending on how many times you pray.
Yeah.
So that's all correct. But our practices, unfortunately, we overlook the practice when we depend on somebody else to administer that practice. So basically, if you go back to when a child is born, in the Muslim culture, alhamdulillah, we do circumcision and head shaving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the barber used to come into the household, not only abroad, but here in the UK as well, about 30 plus years ago, to perform that procedure.
Yes.
Now, if there is a drop of blood, contaminated blood, on any equipment that he has used in that process, and then if you remember, or you can recall, that the baby's scalp is very, very soft.
Yeah.
And when they do head shaving, how many cuts does the baby receive? Many, many cuts.
Yes, that's right.
So if that dry blood spot drop of blood has gone into the scalp, that baby 25, 30 years ago may even end up with full-blown liver cancer.
Wow. So it's so important, isn't it? So this is something a lot of people don't know. Now, we know that the rates of hepatitis C in Pakistan are quite high, and it is because everybody goes to a barber, and the blades or the razors that they use, or the what do they call those shavers? Those
razor blades.
Those that they use. They're not sterilized. They're not clean. And I actually had a classmate whose younger brother contracted hepatitis C through the barber, because they knew that he had contracted hepatitis C through the barber because he only ever went to that barber. He was never unwell in his life. He had never been to a doctor, and he'd never received any blood transfusion as well. Small young school-going boy who had been hit with this hepatitis C. So that was what the doctor told them, and I believe that to be right. So it is so important. It is
very much so. I mean, alongside that, Dr. Seba, you obviously I met somebody today, and she goes, "Oh, I've had my teeth done in Pakistan," and I just looked at her. I said, "Why not here?" She goes, "Because it was cheaper there." I go, "Do you realize the healthcare may not have been up to scratch?"
Yeah.
So dental equipment, medical equipment, i.e. injections, operations, using or reusing somebody's toothbrush along with the razor blade.
Yes, because you can get bleeding gums, can't you? So if you use somebody's toothbrush, you can get spots of blood.
Blood transfusions, as you've just mentioned, tattoos, ear and nose piercings. Now, I've seen it with my own eyes. Living in Punjab, in Faisalabad, we used to go to our village on a regular basis, and when it came round to Eid or Shabrat or festival times, there used to be a lady carrying a basket on her head full of mendi and chudiyan, bracelets and bangles, and she actually used to perform piercings as well. Now, if you think about it, that equipment that she had would not have been sterilized.
Yes, that's right. You don't think about these things, do you?
No, these are very, very... What I try to do when I actually have the workshops or like the testing event we've got at the masjid on Friday, alhamdulillah, is highlight and take people back. So we're not just talking about 5-10 years ago. We're talking about your childhood.
Yes.
Being born in Pakistan or India, having treatments there, you may not even know about it. You need to think about it. Growing up as a child, you would have access definitely going to the doctors and having injection, because there it's customary to have therapeutic injections, as we call them now.
Yes, that's
because
right.
people won't take tablets, they prefer to have an injection, thinking that'll work faster than actually taking oral medication.
It's so true. It's so true. I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but I have patients that come from Pakistan and they're vomiting, and I often say via diarrhea or vomiting, I'm saying, I'm so sorry, but the vomiting, it will clear out by itself. Just keep yourself well hydrated. And they say to me in Urdu, कि उधर तो एकदम डॉक्टर टीका लगा देते हैं और यहाँ पे तो आप लोग कुछ नहीं करते. And for translating it for those people who don't understand Urdu, is that in Pakistan they give us an injection straight away to stop the vomiting, and over here in the UK you guys don't do anything. But it's again, there are risks with that, aren't there?
Yeah, because mentally they think it's better. Psychologically, they're more satisfied with, if somebody inflicts pain, then that will work better for me. I'm okay now. Now, talking about the barber not only having the cutthroat razor that they actually sharpen on a belt of leather,
yeah,
but also they have what we call a potash stone. In our language, they call it patkari.
Okay.
They will wet that down,
Mm-hmm.
and they will apply it straight onto the blood. Now, that potash stone particularly actually coagulates the blood and seals the wound straight away.
Yeah.
So if that is then used from person to person, and as I mentioned, whether it be fresh blood or dry blood, I mean, especially dry blood, I think the virus in that blood spot can actually stay alive up to 78 hours or 4 days, something like that, which is quite dangerous if you think about it.
Oh my goodness, yes it is. Look, we have 20 seconds to go to our adverts, Sister Shabana. This is a fascinating conversation. I will come back and we were going to talk a little bit more about the event on Friday and revisit a lot of things that you've said, because it is so important that we galvanize as many people as possible to come and get tested on Friday. So all of you listening, do come back after our 4-minute break. We can't wait to have you.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
हाँ जी जनाब आज तुसने किया 12 बजे वे
जरा फैमिली की बाहर खड़ना चाहना या खिलाने पिलाने से सोचनो कुथे जाओ
इसी च परेशानी है लिकड़ी गल है इब्राहिमी बफे रेस्टोरेंट पर जाओ उते फ्री पार्क करो उन्होंने मजेदार ते स्वादले पाकिस्तानी इंडियन चाइनीज ते इटालियन आय 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 खाने ना ते जोड़ी कोई नहीं नाले सस्ते ते स्वादले
ए थे रक्स इसका मतलब है बटवा भी नहीं होला होनेगा इब्राहिमी बफे रेस्टोरेंट वैरायटी ऑफ डिलीशियस डिशेस के अलावा जेलाटो आइसक्रीम एंड वॉफल्स भी करते हैं वीकेंड्स पर अपना टेबल बुक करवाइए और वीकडेज तशरीफ ले आइए ओपनिंग आवर्स शाम 5 बजे से रात 10:30 बजे तक इब्राहिमी रेस्टोरेंट 63 Sycamore Avenue Peterborough PE1 4JP टेलीफोन 01733 313131
HS Lawyers make it so simple. Contact Majid Sarwar or Asad Arif today for any matters relating to immigration, family, business or property. Google HS Lawyers to see why we're the highest reviewed firm in Peterborough, with over 500 testimonies on our honesty, speed and excellent communication, making your legal matter simple, easy and stress-free. Contact us today on 01733 703 978. That's 01733 703 978 or email us at peterborough@hs-lawyers.co.uk. HS Lawyers, built on values of integrity and respect, with offices in Peterborough and throughout the West Midlands.
It's estimated that 5,760 children become orphaned every day, and the numbers are rising. UKIM ensures that the orphans we sponsor receive healthcare, food, education and shelter to show them that there are people who care. This Ramadan, from just £30 per month, you can make a real change in an orphan's life. Your sponsorship will provide them with much needed essentials to ease their situation. For orphan sponsorship, call now or visit ukim.org.
Where can you get high quality and low prices? Amar Food Store and Halal Meat in Lincoln Road, Triangle is the place to go. Pay us a visit and take advantage of our special offers and great range of products on groceries, vegetables, fruits and halal meat. Also send money to Pakistan absolutely free. We have all top brands at special offers, offer free customer parking and provide a free local delivery service. Amar Food Store and Halal Meat, 613B Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Call us on 01733 687 374. High in quality, low in prices.
At Cake Inn, all our cakes and slices are freshly baked for that delicious taste. At Cake Inn, we bake 100% vegetarian and halal eggless fresh queen cakes. Delicious flavoured cakes for birthdays and weddings, ceremonies and all other occasions, with free customised messages, even balloons and candles too. Order for delivery or collection from Cake Inn, 489 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PE, and your cake could be ready within 2 hours. Find out more and order online online@cakein.co.uk or call 01733 496 584.
With you 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This is Salam Radio.
Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum. It's wonderful to have you all back. And, I don't want to waste time on having to talk about, who I am. Let's talk about the show. We have Sister Shabana Begum, who has volunteered on behalf of the Hepatitis C Trust. And I'm going to bring her back on right now because she gave us such wonderful and fascinating story about her own lived experience and life experience. I want you all to know about hepatitis C and the event that's going to be taking place at Fazana Medina Mosque on Friday. Sister Shabana, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, my darling.
Thank you very much. And I know that you've got such a, I feel so sad because you've got this asthma flare up coming on and you've taken your inhaler as well. So please do. And if you feel that you need to take a break, just let me know because I feel that what I'd like to ask you, Sister Shabana, you shared a fascinating experience of where you can get the virus from. So we've talked about putgiri, we've talked about razors and blades and things that are used by barbers, obviously in Pakistan, and over here as well. We need to be mindful of that as well. And a lot of us travel back home, so it's very important to be conscious of that. Your work over here, how is it structured? What kind of work are you doing at the moment? Because you've got so many hats on and you're going all over the country trying to raise awareness. I'm incredibly admirable of what you do. Could you share with the listeners a little bit about what you do and the event in Peterborough on Friday, please?
Yes, of course, my darling. So basically, I have, as you mentioned, worked with the trust now for, this is the 13th year, Alhamdulillah, and we are working with the NHS. We're working with what we call Operation Delivery Networks. There's 24 of them throughout the UK, and the Hepatitis C Trust actually liaises, or the NHS liaises with us, because we are patient experts, and that's what the trust is made up of. A majority of them. The staff that are with the trust have had lived experience with hepatitis C. So we come on board with these operational delivery networks and offer our advice and support as well.
Okay.
Currently, Alhamdulillah, till this year, we didn't have enough funding, so I always work part-time 2 days a week. But this year, like I've mentioned, we've received funding and we've been able to employ a new person. So another one of me, mashallah. She's based in Manchester. I'm based in West Yorkshire. So basically, I cover the whole of West Yorkshire amongst other towns and cities as well, and she does also.
Okay.
We're both full-time and we're both national. Her name's Naseem. So the Hepatitis C Trust itself has been around over 22 years now, alhamdulillah. And we have a website, if I'm allowed to mention it, www.hepctrust.org.uk.
Okay.
We have a helpline as well, 020-7089-6221. So regarding, I just want to mention a little bit about the transmission routes again, if you don't mind.
Of course.
So just to point them out, so if you've been abroad, you've had operations, dental treatments, circumcision, head shaving, even a child's head shave, even if you've been on Umrah and Hajj, the shave head there as well. You may have contracted it through that as well. Shared toothbrushes, razor blades, contact with contaminated blood, i.e. if you've had a blood transfusion.
Yeah.
But also, what I'm now mentioning is if you've been abroad and you've actually donated blood. So again, the use of a needle that may not have been sterilized.
Yeah.
Tattoos, ear and nose piercings.
Right.
Again, unused, unsterilized syringes and needles, medical equipment.
Wow.
Then just pointing very lightly on illicit drugs as well. We know that there is a drug problem within our communities as well.
There is.
We try and brush it all under the carpet.
Mm-hmm.
But for those of your listeners that may be listening, you need to go and get tested as well.
Yep.
So, and then going to the barbers, reusing razor blades, scissors, potash stone, particularly disco balls there. And also, I know a lot of people that have actually gone from here to Pakistan or India. They're on dialysis machines on a regular basis. They've gone from here clear, and they actually come back with hepatitis B and C.
Oh my God! So they transmit that, obviously. You know. Wow.
So there's a lot of things we have to keep our eyes and ears open about, and don't trust people for the sake of trusting people. Oh, you know, they know how to administer an injection, or you know, they're a reputable institute. Take your own medication with you.
Yes.
Or pay a little bit more and see that they actually open the packaging up in front of you so they know it's guaranteed that it's new.
Yes, of course. That's what you do
Very,
need, don't
very
you?
simple.
Oh my goodness. That's so true.
But you may have heard about the blood inquiry as well.
Okay,
so people that have had blood transfusions or blood products before 1991, blood that came from the NHS was actually buying blood from America. Unfortunately, from drug users, and then it was actually administered here to people. There's a lot of people still suffering, and they don't know what to do, and they've actually contracted hepatitis C through that. So what we say is, please give us a call, and we will try and help you out. So we are patient advocates as well.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so we are working on that. We've got a major part in the blood inquiry itself, trying to help patients out there. Presently, like you mentioned, sorry, that my post is national, so I'm going up and down the country.
Yeah.
Request is to people that if you want me to come to your mosque, please do get in touch.
Okay.
And inshallah, myself or my colleague will try and make it to yourselves, and we can come out and do the testing within the masjid itself. So the way it works is, basically, a couple of months ago, I got in touch with the people at Faizan Medina.
Yeah.
And they've kindly allowed me to come on board. And I've sent the information out to them to make Ilan on announcement on a regular basis for at least 3-4 weeks before we actually come out to the mosque.
Yeah.
So we will be there from 12:30. Well, we'll be setting up, inshallah, 11:30, 12 o'clock. I aim to be there at the masjid. And myself and the NHS team are coming out as well from Cambridge and Oxford to help us out with my colleagues from the trust.
Okay.
And we will be filling in forms and testing people. It is what we are offering is a dry blood spot, so it's virtually like taking a droplet of your blood.
Yeah.
And processing that.
Yeah.
And you have your results instantly within 15 to 20 minutes.
That's wonderful. So, Sister Shabina, could you tell us a little bit about how this day is going to be formatted? So you're going to be coming to Faizan Medina at 12:30. Where will you be located, especially for women who want to be tested as well? So how is the layout going to be? And do you know what the order of the day is going to be, what you're going to be doing?
So basically, we are going to be setting up a little bit early. So if there's anybody wanting to come in, please come and inquire.
Okay.
Because of the weather, I was going to bring a marquee, but unfortunately, I don't want that being blown away because, as you know, weather is very unpredicted.
Yeah.
So I've requested a room inside.
Okay.
So when they come on the day, just ask. And we will be in one of the rooms. So if the women actually do want to get tested, I myself or one of my colleagues will set up a testing station in the women's section as well.
Okay.
And we can test there as well.
Okay, that's wonderful.
The request is that if anybody is available just to help filling in forms, that would be absolutely amazing, because the form filling, as you know, is a requirement, and that takes up more time. So it just basically frees us up to be able to test more people.
I will come, hopefully, inshallah, for a while. I will come and I will give you a hand. And listeners, you know, if you want to come along, it's a prime opportunity for those of you that pray Jummah and offer your prayers. In fact, I spoke to a patient today, Sister Shabana. I told him about the whole testing aspect of hepatitis C, and he was delighted. He said, oh, yes, I go for Jummah. I really am very conscientious about my health, and I will be visiting. So it will be a really good opportunity for spreading the word. And I did so today in clinic, but I also think that those of you that are listening, whatever platform you're listening on, whether you're listening on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter or Twitch, please do come to the local masjid, Faizan Medina, who have set this up in collaboration with Sister Shabana of the Hepatitis C Trust, because All of us have been to Pakistan. All of us have had our hair cut there. You can relatively have no symptoms whatsoever. That's the thing, the prime thing. You might not even know that you've got it. And one really important thing is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Sister Shabana, that 50% of those people that have hepatitis C can go on to develop liver cancer, isn't it?
It's a very high percentage, yes.
It's a very high percentage, and liver cancer is incurable cancer. Obviously, you might go through chemo, etc., but you've only got one liver. So 50% of those people that are diagnosed with hepatitis C go on to develop liver cancer, which is known as hepatocellular carcinoma. So that is why it is so important to get tested for it. And if you've got it here, we're so blessed in the UK that we can get it done free of charge. And what I would like to ask you all as well is that please, if you have any options to volunteer to help fill out forms, it would be wonderful, both on the women's side and on the men's side. We'd be so grateful. And Peterborough is such a wonderful, hospitable place. We're here to welcome you, Sister Shabana.
Oh, Jazakallah. I'd just like to mention that, like I mentioned earlier, I don't want to be scaring people off with the treatment itself. That was back in the day, literally ancient treatment. Not that it's not used still in some cases, which it is. But nowadays, it's literally one pill a day for either 9 weeks or 12 weeks with the direct acting antivirals, DAAs, and you clear the virus.
Wow.
So it's that simple in comparison to what I had so many years ago, which was 6 months, harsh treatment. Treatment nowadays is extremely easy, and the cure rate is very, very high, 95% cure rate, and it's absolutely amazing. So I would encourage people to come and get tested. It's a simple test. It's an antibody test, so you find out, like a little bit like COVID, whether you have the virus or not. The test itself is an antibody test, so it only determines whether you've actually been in contact with the virus at some point in your life, if the results are positive.
Yeah.
And if it is positive, we then forward you straight into treatment to the hospital, the nurses will do a PCR test to be able to determine whether you actually presently have the virus or not. So there's nothing to be afraid of. But also with the trust, we have community teams, and they work with the homeless. And then we have prison teams. We've got parliamentary teams, and obviously yours and truly, the South Asian team as well.
Wow.
So we have got jobs available. We're looking for people down in London. Please go onto the website and have a look, see if you can come and help us out, if the jobs are to your liking. But also we are willing to train up people. I am looking for people that work in the community and are willing to train up as hepatitis volunteers, peer volunteers. So you will then be representing your own organization. You can test people in your organization. We provide you with all the training. We provide you with all the testing equipment, the links as well for the hospitals, and you can directly test people and just link them into hospital as well.
I think that's so important for people to know.
So I want to replicate myself. You can say, I want my own forge, my own army.
Well, it's so commendable, the work you're doing, and actually to become somebody that is a hepatitis C champion, as it were. I think it's really important. In fact, I think that more awareness needs to be raised, because we just don't realize. I mean, even now, again, you brought up the other scenario of dialysis as well. Who would have known that people have dialysis twice a week?
There's so many things, Dr. Seba, we don't think about.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very common problem. I mean, like my mom said, it's as common as water. And we have to remember it's not in water, but it is as common as. And every third person, there must be, in Pakistan, every other person that has either heard of hepatitis C or have actually had the virus.
So
it's that common.
I mean, even I know of somebody who had hepatitis C. I had, and this is something that I'd like to share with the listeners, I actually had a distant cousin, very, very young, who had hepatitis C and had kidney failure, not because of the hepatitis C, but just by virtue of his own own condition, and he went for a kidney transplant at the SIUT, which is a very famous kidney transplant center in Pakistan. And they couldn't give it to him because they tested him and worked it up and everything, and he was found to have hepatitis C. But what was so sad was that he was on dialysis, he had a catheter in. What was really, really devastating was that he died from complications at such a young age from hepatitis C. And what people said was, because obviously, you know, their family members, etc., whatever the doctors said to him, is that he died because of something known as Kala Yarkan. And this is what they call it. So it's, you know...
I'm glad you mentioned that, yeah.
So that is what they say. And he died, and they say his scenario was that he started to vomit up a lot of blood. And then he obviously went into cardiac arrest. And what that is that's the end stage of the hepatitis, because it causes something known as esophageal varices, which are engorged veins on the food pipe that can burst, because there is something known as portal hypertension that develops as a result of the virus. And that's how he became so unwell. And it's such a shame that he died because of hepatitis C and not the kidney transplant that he needed, you know?
I mean, I'd just like to mention here that when, as you've mentioned so much regarding end-stage liver cancer, that the liver itself is the size of a rugby ball. And if you remember the liver, as we call it, jigger in our own language, it's very soft. Now, as the virus progresses, attacks the liver heart starts to harden. So there's, I think there's over 500 processes that the liver itself does. And every other second, the blood from the whole body actually goes through the liver itself as well, being processed. So just if that is like a factory in your body, and if something is going wrong with that, it's going to have a knock-on effect on the rest of the organs in your body as well. I'm not a doctor like yourself. Many Sikha I have learned as well.
Of course you have. And it's so important because we learn from our patients as well. That's, you know, part of medicine is listening into and that's exactly how your hepatitis C was found out, because you just knew that something wasn't right. And I think that a lot of doctors, I think in our position, the need to listen is always hammered into us, that we need to listen, we need to take steps back. It's a separate thing that we only get 10 minutes to listen to people, but that's a different story altogether. But listening is so important, and that's where we learn as well. You know, there are so many things that come up with my patients, and I say, you know what, I actually didn't know that, or things that specialists have told patients that they tell me, and I say, you know what, I really didn't know that, and I've learned something today. And we're learning something every day, and it's so important to be open-minded about that learning. It really is.
Very much so, my dear. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, we are here to learn. And if we can learn, then we can help other people as well. I mean, you've given me the opportunity to come on live radio to tell my story, and I'm hoping that people will learn and listen and potentially be able to not only save their own lives but their loved ones as well. It's like I said earlier on, it's keeping your eyes and ears open.
Of course it is.
You know, be willing to talk about it. We call it Kala Jarkan, Yarkan or Jarkan, and people, and literal translation in English is black jaundice. It's because you go dark towards the end. When you get liver cancer.
I didn't know that, actually. I didn't know that you go dark.
Your skin actually does darken in some cases, the majority of cases.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, my cousin actually, 2 years before lockdown, passed away.
Oh, I'm so sorry
He would have been the same age. I'm 56 this year, and he would have been 56. My pupa's son, my pupa that passed away. And they were just so scared of treatment. I mean, in Pakistan, it's either go for treatment or be able to bring food home for the family. It's either one or the other. They can't do both. But here in the UK, you are so lucky that on the NHS, everything is free. Even people that are coming from abroad on holiday can get treatment here.
And you know why I want to bring...
Especially, I don't know about anything else, but definitely for hepatitis C treatment, they can have that for free.
Yeah, you can have it. You know, one of the beautiful things I speak about the NHS a lot in public and on my shows is that the NHS is the only place where you can get your simple infection treated on the NHS for free, all the way to having a liver transplant free on the NHS. And I always use the analogy of a liver transplant because it's another extreme in life, isn't it? You only have one liver. And, you know, Allah forbid that anybody goes down that pathway of deterioration and they're needing to have a liver transplant because you only have one chance at it as well. And we're so blessed. And I want to say to my listeners, a lot of you who speak to me, who might be my patients, I don't know which of you are, but those of you who are listening in, how many of you have picked up the phone and spoken to your GP and said, you know, oh, I don't feel well, and we're trying to get to the bottom of the problem. And then you yourself say, Dr. Sab, get all my tests done for everything. My cholesterol, my liver function test, my kidneys, my full blood count, my iron. You all say that because you want to find out what's wrong with you. And how wonderful if the conscientiousness about keeping good health extends to going to the mosque on Friday, this Friday, Faizana Medina, a beautiful mosque, the largest mosque in Peterborough, alhamdulillah. And and on the occasion of Jummah as well, when we have the most congregation that assimilates over there, it would be so good that you are given this chance. Sister Shabana does some fundamental, phenomenal work throughout. And even if you wanted to take that a step further, you could become a hepatitis C champion, you know? And I think that would be wonderful if you could just train up to test other people, you know, extend that. It's very, very important in our diverse communities as well.
Very much so. I just want to say a massive thank you not only to yourself, my darling, my Miri Jan, but also to Chaudhry Saab at Faizana Medina that have made this possible. MashaAllah, he's been absolutely amazing in helping me out. And again, a request to everybody, please do come get tested. And a massive request to yourselves that please go bug your GPs.
Yes, I definitely.
Request the test, because GPs, bless them, they have so much on their plate that they put you down for regular tests and totally forget that you need to get tested for hepatitis and other ailments as well. So aapka kaam hai. It's up to you as a patient to request these tests.
Yeah.
I don't want to be burdening the GPs already.
No, but I completely agree. If you are feeling unwell and you do have symptoms that other tests have excluded, then why not? I think it's something that says a matter of exclusion, you need to have it.
Especially if there's somebody in the family that you know, that you've lived with, grown up with, you know, that has the virus, please get yourself tested. But also, Dr. Shabina, if you know or yourself would be able to participate, I'm putting you in a sticky situation here.
That's okay.
We're actually wanting to halve your burden. And that is basically if there is somebody in the community that is willing to train up and be a peer and do the testing for us, we will then station them at your, for example, GP surgeries or the local pharmacies to test people. And then that way it halves your burden. If they're positive, then you can take them on board and treat them. And if not, then at least it's a peace of mind as well, then, isn't it?
That's so true. And I think that's such an important thing, Sister Shabana. I am, in the meantime, going to read you some of the comments that we've had here, mashallah, on the show. So this Amar Food Store and Halal Meat, honestly, they are our wonderful partners in terms of advertising. This is a very informative show as always. We have Jason McNally, who's he's actually sat abroad in Egypt, but he's watching the show and he says he wants to save it as well. And he also, Brother Faisal Mahmood, who is one of the directors of Salam Radio, incredibly hardworking in the background as well, motivating to keep all of us presenters going. I'd really like to thank him on this show too, and very informative. Thank you for bringing this topic to the forefront. And I'd obviously like to thank Faizana Medina Mosque, the Mosque Committee, and especially Chaudhry Abdul Muqaddas Sahab, who has always brought on new initiatives within the mosque in terms of now this hepatitis. I think it's the first mosque that will be testing for hepatitis C, which is really progressive thinking. And I call him Uncle Muqaddas because he's somebody that's a father figure to Peterborough and has always been at the forefront in terms of integration, bringing communities together. I mean, there's phenomenal work that Uncle Muqaddas has done. So it's an absolute pleasure for me to be able to spread the word. He has no idea that I've brought this show on. I will text him afterwards to let him know. But so proud to have somebody like him in our community. Really, he is. He's praiseworthy, and he deserves every bit of praise, as well as, you know, our mosques, mashallah, they work so well. We've got the joint mosque committee as well. So if this could be replicated to the other mosques, that would be great. We've got 1 minute left now, Sister Shabana. Thank you so much for everything. I will see you on Friday. I will pop in for sure.
Inshallah. Inshallah. And I look forward to seeing you. Are you going to come on your belts and chains?
I can't do that without the official form being put in. I don't like protocol, but I'm going to put my chains to the side and be just normal Shabina Jani for you.
Oh, Jazakallah, Mary Jan, Jazakallah. Pleasure.
Oh, thank you.
Always talking to you, and thank you so much, my darling, for giving me this opportunity to talk to our communities about raising awareness on hepatitis. And look forward to seeing you and everybody else at the masjid.
And long may
on Friday, inshallah.
Inshallah. Long may it continue, Sister Shabana. Khuda Hafiz. And
Ameen. Khuda Hafiz.
Great listenership. And thank you very much, listeners, for joining in. And see you at the next Body, Health and Mind Show.